Welcome back to Scavenge-ology. I am your host, Elena, and I'm so excited to dive into this episode today. If you tuned in last week to our other episode, we talked about quality calories versus quantity calories and need-specific diets, more so just eating for your body, eating for your own health profile. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest today. We have Sandra from Meals to Thrive here to speak with us, and I'm so happy to have you on. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Meals to Thrive has been a program that we've worked on for many, many years, and it's had a couple ideations, and we're getting ready to launch. So it's like having a baby. We're so excited to get it off the ground.
It's something you've definitely been working on for a while, so I'm sure you're very excited to see it take full effect and kind of have its wings and fly. So that's awesome. Congratulations on all your hard work.
Thank you.
So I just want to start by giving you a few minutes to introduce yourself. Tell us your accolades, your experience, anything about your schooling or certifications, anything you want to share or see fit for sharing. Just let our listeners hear a little bit more about you.
Yes, thank you. My name is Sandra Vaughan. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I've been a registered dietitian nutritionist for almost 30 years. My 30-year anniversary is next year, so super excited. I have had many roles as a dietitian in that career of mine, but most recently with FoodService Partners, I've been working with our business development team to kind of be the ingredient specialist in terms of bringing awareness to and really implementing clean label ingredients into our food supply through the products that we at FoodService Partners produce. So, and that's kind of a wide range of healthcare and some retail manufacturing. We do some meal plans, which is what Meals to Thrive is, and just a lot of different things. So just in the last 2 years, I've really been diving into, if you will, cleaning up as much as we can to meet our standards of what a clean food is. So a little bit about me, other than what I've done the last 2 years as a dietitian. I've worked both in a clinical setting and that's like clinical acute care, but I also worked in the long-term care or senior living for many, many years, and that was a great passion of mine. So I did transition out of that, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss it a little bit. I miss that one-to-one contact with folks who truly, their days revolve around what they eat. Their meal times, they really do a lot of times just set the rhythm of their day to meal times, and it gives them great joy. And that's truly having joy in food is how I actually became a dietitian. So I'll share a little bit about that because it's kind of an interesting story. When I was younger, so I've already kind of told you my age, but one of the first nutrition books that I ever read was called Fit for Life. And it was, I think I looked up the publication date a few years ago, and it was like 1985. So I'm giving you some reference there. But it enthralled me, and I was young, but I just read it over and over and over again. And I tried so hard to understand, based on the science that I knew just from my schooling, into what they were proposing as a healthy way to eat. So that really did spark my interest. And then when I went away to college, kind of had a rough time of like, what do I want to do? And actually, I was well into my third year of college before I landed on, a degree in nutritional science. So I did graduate from Virginia Tech with a degree in nutrition science. I did an internship many, many years ago at the University of, I'm saying it wrong, of East Carolina University Medical School in Greenville, North Carolina. And then I went back to Virginia Tech to work on some graduate work there. So that's kind of my history with my education. That was quite a bit of years ago. As a registered dietitian nutritionist, there are lots of continuing education credentials, obviously, that you have to maintain. And the beauty of it is that you get to pick what you want to learn in terms of your continuing education. So truthfully, maybe since like 2005, I really did get into the ingredient side of food. Whole foods, that was the beginning trends. Dr. Mark Hyman kind of led that with his book, Ultra Metabolism, many, many years ago. Most people who are in the clean food space know of him and probably follow him. But he was my really introductory light into the world of how food can heal or harm your body. So obviously, since 2005, there's been a lot of trends, which we can all kind of follow that through the world of nutrition. Some of it's science-based. Some of the science lags behind the trend, which isn't surprising at all, because to get good, evidence-based information, it takes time. It takes well-designed studies. So a lot of what we see, especially on social media today, is anecdotal, based on how people themselves respond to certain foods or certain dietary trends. So I myself, even though I am in the space for 30 years, consider myself to be very open-minded to whatever new comes along, and I do investigate it and try to see what evidence is there, what evidence is forthcoming. So I'm very open-minded when it comes to nutrition. But I would say, my basic philosophy about nutrition is whatever choice you're making, it's either going to help you or it's going to harm you. And there isn't a whole lot of neutral space there for nutrition. So every bite that we take is a chance to really nourish our bodies. So it's interesting to see. I'm back kind of in the pediatric world with some of my own family members. I have some grandchildren now, and to see them learning to eat again, it's all just really exciting. And to see that we, as the caregivers, have so much of an impact on the foods that we offer to our children. So it really can start there with making good choices. So that's me, Elena.
Awesome. I feel like I learned so much about you that I had no idea about. That's all so interesting. And I love how you shared just kind of what sparked your interest in nutrition from the very, very beginning. That's awesome. And I totally agree with what you just recently said about you can either heal your body or harm your body by what you eat. And so I just, out of curiosity, do you practice what you preach every single day in every area? Are you super clean with your grocery shopping and your snacks and your meals and everything like that? Or is that something you are more lenient with? I'd just love to know that.
Sure, that's a really great question. And the answer to that is no, that I definitely live on the continuum. A lot of it is driven by, if I'm traveling, it's much harder to you know what, I'd like to back that up and say it's not hard, but it takes planning. It's a matter of, is that your priority for the day? So I personally, I'm not sure what my lens is compared to other people's lens, because I've always been a shopper who goes in. I've always, when I could find organics, I spend the money on organics. That's one of my deepest, core values, because the pennies, and it sounds like maybe I'm coming from a place of privilege saying that, but I'm most ready to give up a vacation in exchange for 3 months of really good food. And I'm saying really good from a really, really clean, like high quality, high sourcing, that standpoint. So I don't want to, I don't want anyone listening to this to think that that's for everybody, but that's definitely for me. I would say that the majority, when I look at my budget, the majority of my dollars are spent on food. And again, I recognize that as my privilege, and I'm very grateful for that, to be able to make those kinds of choices. So, but there's also, I have a terrible sweet tooth. So I don't know what to say about that. Again, it's on a continuum. I do enjoy ice cream from time to time. You know, I'm a cookie eater. I like chocolate, and I also, for me, have really tried to find that balance. So sometimes it's depending on life changes every day. So if there's a crowd around and we're making a great dinner, yeah, it's usually pretty much clean. If it's just me, sometimes, you know, I'm just eating something convenient. But the good news about convenience foods, especially, you know, I will want to plug FSP here, FoodService Partners. We are really making some incredible foods that are convenient. They're clean, and you know, they're good. They taste amazing. So thanks for letting me shamelessly plug
Yes, of
my
course.
company.
That's awesome. Well, I totally agree with you. And here, as the host of this podcast and as a, you know, part-time health and wellness coach and someone who really has been in this space for a few years, I still enjoy, you know, some ice cream, like you said, from time to time. Or if I need something convenient, I can grab, you know, Chick-fil-A or some sort of fast food, maybe not McDonald's, even though from time to time that does happen. But
Sure.
I also have a gluten allergy, so I'm unable to eat a lot of processed foods, and so that kind of takes a lot of the temptation out of it for me. But there are times, you know, where I don't want to opt for the healthier option, and I'm learning, and I have learned, and I guess I'm always learning that that's okay. That, you know, an 80-20 lifestyle is better than a 0 and 90 of towards the unhealthy, you know, and that's actually how I used to eat before I had any real knowledge about nutrition and health. I ate whatever I wanted when I wanted it, and it was definitely not the healthiest. So as you learn and grow, I think you can adapt and make more balanced decisions without being obsessive.
Right. I totally agree that it is a balance. And the good thing is we're going to do this for the rest of our lives. You know, we're going to eat until we're not eating anymore. And so we always have a chance to make that better choice. But we also, you know, again, I mentioned the joy of food for me as a youngster. I can tell you, to share a little story. Both of my parents had grandparents who were farmers. And so growing up, when I went to my grandma's, both of my grandmas, there were biscuits every day. So truly, like, my true comfort food is a tomato biscuit. So I don't make them. I mean, I can make them from scratch, but I don't. But I certainly could, and I would really enjoy that if I did. But it's something that, you know, I'm not going out and working the hours that part of my family was working at the time, and they really did. I think you talked about calories last week. They really did need the calories that biscuit, even though they were small biscuits, but, you know, that they provided, and they were made fresh twice a day. So it's just, our foods reflect our life, and our life reflects our food choices. So it's a different time for sure, but you know, I think even if you just looked at the trends in the way that we eat, as I'm going to say Americans here, that because that's what I know. our eating patterns have changed so much just even in 10 years. A lot of that's for the good. A lot of it, it has gone away in terms of maybe not everybody's eating as a family anymore, and we miss that part. But I also think that the idea to get back to that is certainly something that we all strive for. We like the sense of community that we have around a meal. But I think in terms of our food supply, which is, that's really that's kind of become my passion. It's so much more available. I think I made a smoothie this morning, and in it I had papaya and grapefruit, and I was like, I never would have had a papaya, and when I was growing up because they just weren't available. Yeah. So we do have the opportunity to eat so much more variety, which obviously is great for our nutrient intake.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think this kind of is a perfect walk right into what we're going to be discussing in terms of the episode last week, and in terms of, giving some more information about Meals to Thrive. Is it's not all about the calories. It's not all about, there's the mainstream idea of what, a good meal is or what healthy eating is. It's more so, it's not just the macronutrients, it's also the micronutrients, and making sure that you're getting the right levels of, vitamins and minerals and all of that through your diet. And I think it's really important to note that when you are including fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, like lean proteins, things like that, you are more likely to hit all of those micronutrients without even realizing it or really needing any additional supplements, compared to if your diet is full of fast food and processed food and heavy starchy carbs and things like that. So that kind of just leads us right into that. So I will ask you just overall, I did give a little bit of an intro into Meals to Thrive last week. I talked about the cardiac, diabetic, kidney, and vegetarian friendly meal options and diets. And I also went into detail of just kind of the explanations behind what makes a meal cardiac friendly or what would classify as diabetic friendly and things like that. So can you walk us through kind of the behind the scenes of figuring all that out? What were the goals of hitting those main diet needs? If you could just share that with us too.
Sure. So what our goal originally was to create a meal plan for somebody who may be leaving an acute care setting with a new diagnosis. We wanted to recognize that, food is medicine, and that as a physician, a lot of our physicians want to write a prescriptive diet. In other words, they don't just want to give a cholesterol lowering pill. I think it was a trend 10 or 15 years ago to write an exercise prescription, and they could take it either to a physical therapist or somebody that would help them implement that exercise prescription. So really, our goal with Meals to Thrive was to give an option for folks who were new to following some stricter dietary guidelines. And the meal categories that you just described, the cardiac, diabetic, kidney friendly, those are quite clinical terms from that standpoint. So if someone has recently been told, they need to maybe follow a cardiac diet, or if in a kidney situation where they're starting to have some altered kidney function, you can really impact the longevity of your organ systems if you can manipulate the diet away from, like you described, the heavy starchy processed foods, low in nutrition, high in sodium, usually high in simple carbs, all those things. So that was the goal with the Meals to Thrive program. So we took the guidelines and adapted them. The guidelines come out from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is the governing body for anybody that's a registered dietitian nutritionist. And they produce evidence-based dietary guidelines for the management of some of these diagnoses. So what I'd like for your audience to really think is all of us can use food as our fuel, obviously, good food as our medicine as well. And then beyond, so in our Meals to Thrive program, we have that line. We have those regular meals, not, they're meeting the targets of good nutrition. Above and beyond that, we have these points that we were trying to hit from a nutrient standpoint, whether it was we were trying to keep each meal less than 600 milligrams of sodium. For our renal diets, we were trying to hit a certain potassium and phosphorus level, those are the micronutrients that you would really want to monitor if you're trying to preserve your kidney function. So that's the targets for our Meals to Thrive program. The beauty of the program is that a lot of our meals go across all of those parameters, and they taste really, really amazing. So we've used totally integrated proteins, which looks like, we've raised our cows right there where we produce our food. We've allowed them to be grass-fed, grass-finished. We've taken that meat through the full food chain, and it's landed on those trays for Meals to Thrive. So we're proud of that. I'm sure you can hear that in my voice. We're proud of the opportunity we were given to have that vertically integrated food system for proteins. So I talked about the beef, but also we have that for our pork products, and and then again, a lot of our vegetables too are considered locally grown. So we really did source our nutrition very carefully, with the targets for the meals in mind. It was a full picture. So what I think, if I look at the Meals to Thrive program as a whole, it works for everybody. It really is prescriptive for everyone who is conscientious about the foods that they put into their bodies, the nutrient quality.
Everything that you're sharing about Meals to Thrive sounds amazing, and it sounds like so much research and intention went into this. And I think sometimes as consumers, because even though you work in this space, you still are a consumer of other brands, and sometimes it can feel like consumers have rushed or don't really have the actual evidence to back up what their claims are. And it sounds like the company has really gone to great lengths to ensure that consumers are receiving the very best quality. I think that that's amazing and should definitely be shouted out. I definitely want to talk about quickly the convenience of these meals. So how do consumers receive them? Do they heat them up? Do they have to cook anything? Is it more like a HelloFresh kind of deal? What is that experience like for a customer who wants to order these meals?
Right. So we originally launching the meals as a meal tray item. So it's going to come with your clean protein with usually there may or may not be a sauce over that protein. If there is a sauce, it still meets the full parameters of the meal. So it's not like a high salt sauce or anything added, but it does provide a lot of flavor at times. A starch and a vegetable. It comes in a 12-ounce serving size, reheatable through the microwave, ovenable, all those things that you would expect out of a meal tray. It also comes with, the packaging is nice because it really does highlight for folks what diet parameters it hits. We did it by color coding, so there would be some information that came in the box with the meal order that you received, as opposed to maybe directly being on the package. But a lot of that's USDA limitations of what we can and cannot add to our packaging. But you would be given a guideline when you received your meal. So it comes frozen. And actually, we've had some folks who are in our pilot study, they've taken these meals with them back to the hospital if they had to go back for care, or if they were staying like off site and had to travel for any reason, they could use a microwave at their hotel. So again, we've designed these meals around some very specific nutrient guidelines. So if you are in that space of managing your nutrition intake to try to resolve whether it's a cardiac diagnosis or like I said, a kidney or diabetic need, these meals really do make it simple in that respect. You just take them with you in the cooler and you heat them up if you're traveling. So we're proud of that too. The other thing that we're launching soon is more of a bulk pack. So we're going to have a 20-ounce frozen packaging as well. And I'll just give you an example, like pulled pork with sauce, with some barbecue sauce on it. It is amazing. It's got all the flavors that you would want from a pulled pork product, but it does meet nutritionally the lower sodium parameters that we were really trying to target. So that would be available in like a 20-ounce portion. And depending on, who's with you, usually that's going to serve 2 to 3 people. So that's kind of nice too. And those are going to be available. We'll also have our side items that we're talking about, our lower sodium mashed potatoes, some of our side vegetables that are prepared fresh, but with a little bit of seasoning, give them some great taste. So they're kind of going to be a heat and eat. They're going to be in your freezer if you need them. You can pull them out, microwave them, saute, whatever your preference is for reheating your ready-to-eat foods like that.
That sounds amazing. So I wasn't completely sure if there was, a side item or a larger portion. So I'm really happy that you gave that explanation. Everything sounds absolutely amazing, especially the mashed potatoes. I think I need to have a sample of those so that I can vouch for them.
Definitely. Yeah, they're delicious.
Good. That is so awesome. Well, I just want to thank you for sharing just about yourself and about Meals to Thrive and just all of this information. I think it's going to be so valuable for those who are listening. And where can they check out more about this brand? I know there is a mealstothrive.com where there is a waiting list, and there's also a Meals to Thrive over on Instagram and Facebook. Is there any other place that you know of where people can learn more about this or more about the brand in general?
Elena, I think you summed it up well. I know that they're going to be available on our Promo Grocery House. I'm not sure when that will go live for those items. We're going to probably have those items up on that space at some point.
That sounds
That's
great.
all I have.
Well, thank you so much again for being here and for sharing some information with us. And hopefully one day we'll have you back.
Alrighty. Thank you so much. It was great to give you my story. I appreciate that opportunity.
Absolutely.